Hi, and welcome. Happy New Year. This is the first weekly wrap up for the new year for Friday, January 10th, 2025. And we have a lot to cover, as you would imagine. So I pray all of you had a great and safe holiday. And on a personal note, I am safe here in the Los Angeles area with the fires that you're all well aware. The air quality is not very good. So the best place to be is indoors, stocked up. And I am doing that thusly. It should be improving, we're told, between today and Saturday through the weekend, where it'll be significantly better to go outside. But where I am, it's been sheltered. Thank you, Lord. But we need to be mindful to pray for those who are in the direct line of fire, who are innocent and have known nothing about what's going on with the nefarious activity that's being taken down, that don't know what we do. There still be people being affected by this, and we need to be keeping them in genuine prayer and building them up in this time. So I would ask that you would all do that, as I would believe you would already do. So now on to the updates. This week, as you know, we had a nice healthy week of shows. We had Mr. Nick Van Amen, where I did a little update with him on the reset. Good friend of Mensch, Eli Weber, Major General Vallely. We've got an exciting guest with him next month that's going to be joining us. He was set to join last week, but he had some personal conflicts that prohibited him from being on the podcast, which I will announce, of course, next month. The one and only SGN and Lynette Zhang. Next week, we have Mr. Stud personality himself, Greg Manarino, Ian from Purium, who's got some new product updates and some things we can do to combat the cold and flu season with their said products. We have a lot of new guests that we're excited about. Mr. Norman Traversy, who is a Canadian resident and is been a staunch supporter of making Canada the 51st state, and has been helping with legislation to help them get back on their own constitutional republic through the U.S. Matthew Nugent, a retired Air Force captain who has some really proactive solutions to help the military remove the DEI initiative. The lovely and talented Miss Denise Boland will be on with her. Kenny Metcalf, who is an interesting fellow. He's on the musical front like myself. He is a Elton John impersonator, but has been highly successful at it and has met President Trump in Mar-a-Lago and connected with those folks on the inside. So he has an interesting testimony, and he's a believer as well. Another believer we have, who's a fellow friend of a team member, Mr. Russell Brown, who's well involved in the reset and is an avid fan of our podcast, and requested to come on and share his testimony about what God has been showing him during this time. And he's just a very enthusiastic and positive young man. So we like to diversify here. So we're going to be having those folks on next week. Now, here to the headlines. Premier Giorgia Meloni paid a surprise flying visit to the U.S. with President Trump at his Mar-a-Lago residence in Florida on Saturday. Meloni, the leader of the right-wing Brothers of Italy FDL party, arrived in Florida around 1930 local time and flew back to Rome less than 5 hours later. She's really taken Europe by storm, President Trump said of Meloni before a group of people at the Mar-a-Lago residence, the Winter White House, according to Wall Street Journal reporter Alex Leary. A major disruptive winter storm was sweeping across the central U.S. on Sunday, forecasters said, bringing with it a dreaded combination of snow, ice, and plunging temperatures. National Weather Service issued a winter storm warning from Kansas to Missouri, where blizzard conditions are expected, all the way to New Jersey. 18 classic restaurant chains are set to completely close their doors in 2025. They are as follows: Denny's, Red Lobster, Pizza Hut, Applebee's, Ruby Tuesday, TGI Fridays, which are all held by the same holding company, by the way, Friendly's, Perkins, Boston Market, Old Country Buffet, Golden Corral, Subway, Steak and Shake, Joe's Crab Shack, Del Taco, Fuddruckers, Quiznos, and Soup Plantation / Sweet Tomatoes. Former Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau has officially resigned as party leader on Monday, following weeks of mounting pressure and criticism. Trudeau announced his decision to step down as the leader of Canada's ruling party, but will remain as prime minister until a new leader is selected. Reporting sources close to him, he had announced his resignation during a news conference scheduled, as you know, this Monday, January 6th at 10:45 Eastern Time. Trudeau's departure would follow him leading the party for nearly 11 years and serving as prime minister for 9. Congress certified President Trump's landslide victory in the 2024 presidential election on Monday, an important ceremony before the president returns to power on January 20th. Kamala Harris presided over the electoral count, thanks to her constitutional role as president of the Senate, overseeing the process after Trump defeated her soundly in last year's race for the White House. 16,500 jobs lost as party supply giant shuts down for good. America's largest party supply chain announces immediate shutdown after failing to overcome $800 million in debt. The retailer's collapse impacts thousands of workers and signals continuing challenges in the brick and mortar retail sector. Staffers at the Washington Post are bracing for a wave of layoffs that could reshape the paper's future, as cuts are expected to be announced this week, according to insiders. Independent journalist Oliver Darcy reported Sunday in his newsletter status that one source said that the layoffs will focus on the newspaper's, quote, business division and impact, quote, dozens of employees. Another day, another closure notice from a major retailer. In the past month alone, we've had news about store closings from Big Lots, Party City, Walmart, CVS, and Macy's, among others. Now, Joann is the latest company to announce that it will close its locations in 2025. The 82-year-old craft and fabric store confirmed to the news Retail Dive with Amanda Hayes that Joann's director of corporate communications announcing its official closure. BurgerFi, which opened and franchised 144 burger and pizza restaurants nationwide on September 11th, filed for Chapter 11 protection after a turnaround plan implemented earlier in 2024 failed to produce the necessary results to prevent the filing. The burger chain closed 19 underperforming corporate-owned locations and reduced related operating costs as part of its turnaround plan. Boeing plans to cut 17,000 jobs and take $5 billion in charges amid a crippling strike and deepening turmoil. After nearly 2 decades, a gourmet sandwich chain has shut down for good after it was unable to battle its way out of Chapter 11. Melt Bar and Grill owner Matt Fish announced on Facebook on New Year's Day that the remaining restaurant was shutting down for good. Post offices, as you know, closed and no mail was delivered this Thursday due to the National Day of Observance to honor former President Jimmy Carter. The USPS announced on their website that they would suspend regular mail deliveries, retail services, as well as administrative office duties activity on Thursday, January 9th. Now, here are the latest precious metals and Brent crude prices as of the time of this broadcast. Gold upticking slightly at $2,693.10. Silver at $31.17, and Brent crude oil upticking slightly at $76.65. Now to the latest resignations. A Washington Post cartoonist has quit her role at the paper, saying that her bosses blocked publication of the satirical cartoon that depicted billionaires, including one resembling Post owner Jeff Bezos, kneeling before President Trump. Ann Telenaze, a Pulitzer Prize-winning cartoonist, said in her blog on Friday that she quit the Washington Post after the drawing was summarily rejected. Rail Workers Union leader Mick Lynch has announced his retirement. The 63-year-old has held a number of posts in the RMT after working in the construction industry for many years before being illegally blacklisted for joining a union. Liz Hamilton Daly, who joined Hallmark Media in 2021, is out. On Monday morning, the company announced that her position as EVP of programming has been terminated. Piers Morgan is leaving the News UK to focus on expanding his YouTube channel. The 59-year-old's uncensored program has found some success since the broadcaster first established it on Talk TV in 2022, with the channel now boasting around 3.6 million subscribers. In a new deal with the Rupert Murdoch-owned News UK, Morgan will take ownership of the uncensored brand through his production company, Wake Up Productions. Excuse me, it will mark a move away from his other work as he focuses on expanding the venture internationally, according to Sky News. Senior Comcast executive who oversaw the company's direct-to-consumer business is resigning. Kelly Campbell is leaving Comcast after serving as president of the company's direct-to-consumer initiatives. She joined 3 years ago after serving in a similar role at Hulu, the streaming service that once operated a joint venture between Comcast and Walt Disney and Fox Corporation. Now to the latest deaths. Cybersecurity executive and longtime entrepreneur Amit Yoran tragically died after an arduous battle with cancer on Friday, the company announced. Before his death, Yoran, 54, served as the CEO and chairman of the worldwide cybersecurity company Tenable, which is a cybersecurity company specializing in exposure management. The company, based in Columbia, Maryland, announced its visionary leader's unexpected passing in a press release on Saturday. Indie screenwriter and director Jeff Baena has died at age 47. Representatives for Baena's wife, Parks and Rec former star Aubrey Plaza, directed CBS News to report of Boehner's death by deadline. His death was also confirmed to CBS News by the LA County Coroner's Office. The coroner's office reported that Boehner died by suicide. Jeremy Walker, the former artistic director and National Youth Music Theater, who has died of cancer at age 67, was a man of many parts and a musician of rare versatility, equally at ease serving classroom, cathedral, cloister, or contemporary theater. Burton L. Gerber, who was an operations officer for the CIA, pushed for greater risk-taking and spying against the Soviet Union, who later, as the agency's chief of station in Moscow, managed one of the most productive espionage operations undertaken by the U.S. in the Cold War, died on January 2nd. Under hospice care at his home in Washington, he was 91. Jean Wakasuki Houston, whose acclaimed movie Farewell to Manzanar recounted her childhood years in a crowded barbed wire fringe detention center, bringing renewed attention to the trauma she and thousands of other imprisoned Japanese Americans experienced during World War II, died December 21st at her home in Santa Cruz, California. She was 90. Actor Keller Fornes, best known for his role in the Great American Family series County Rescue, has died. The Texas native was 32. According to an obituary from the Lacey Funeral Home in Stephenville, Texas, Fornes passed away December 19th. Cause of death was not shared with the public. A representative for Fornes did not immediately respond to Fox Digital's news request for comment. A man who made a living off the grid on a deserted Mediterranean island for over 30 years has died at the age of 85, just 3 years after he returned to civilization. Mauro Morandi was nicknamed Robinson Crusoe by the media after being identified as the sole resident of Budeli Island, an old World War II shelter off the Italian island of Sardinia. He prided himself on a cloistered, solitary life. Jean Mallant, the master printmaker who helped expand the creative reach of young LA conceptual artists such as Ed Rushka, John Baldessari, with the 1970s founding of Cirrus Gallery and Cirrus Editions, has died. He was 81. Mallant died peacefully at his home on December 30th. Cirrus Gallery announced on Saturday. Celebrated poet, filmmaker, and writer Pratish Nandi died on Wednesday, January 8th. He was 73. Veteran actor Anupam Kher paid tribute to his friend on social media. He shared an emotional message about Nandi, not only for creative brilliance, but also his personal qualities. The director of a popular Yorkshire Dales visitor attraction, Leo Morris, has died at age 48. Mr. Morris, who was the chief operating officer of the Forbidden Corner in Coverham, died on December 27th. Spokesperson for the company said his death was an immense loss to the business and all that knew him personally. British cinematographer Roger Pratt, best known for his work as director of photography on Tim Burton's Batman, Harry Potter, and Goblet of Fire, died. He was 77. Pratt's death was confirmed in a January 3rd statement made by the British Society of Cinematographers, which did not specify a date or location, but said the creative passed away in December of 24. Tributes have poured in for Major League Baseball star Brian Matus, who died at age 37 on January 7th. The sudden passing of the former Baltimore Orioles and Chicago Cubs pitcher was announced by Orioles management, whom he played for from 2009 to 2016. In a heartfelt statement on social media, cause of death has not yet been released. On December 2nd of 24, Perry Dahl, one of the last living American World War II aces who shot down 5 or more enemy aircraft, died after a stormed 37-year career in the U.S. Army, Army Corps, the U.S. Army Air Forces. He was 101. Dahl was born on February 18th, 1923 in North Battleford in Saskatchewan, Canada, shortly after his family moved to the U.S., settling in Seattle. Jim Short, a stand-up comedian who hosted a podcast with Margaret Cho, is dead. The 58-year-old's death was first reported in California's Comedy Magic Club in Manhattan Beach via Instagram on January 5th. TikTok star Lorenzo Buffa, known as Cabin Fruit, has died at the age of 29. The social media star garnered over 1.2 million followers on TikTok, as well as hundreds of thousands more on Instagram. He was known for his DIY content and creative way of living. Mike Milligan, the writer and producer of such award-winning television series, including All in the Family, The Jeffersons, Maude, and Dear John, died on Friday, December 20th, at his home in West Hills, California. His representation, told Deadline, cause of death was acute respiratory failure. He was 77. Newsnight remembers former anchor Aaron Brown, who passed away at the age of 76. Ex-American legend Cristobal Ortega has died. Ortega played all of his career in America, where he has held the record for the most games played for the team, as well as tied for the most titles with Alfredo Tena. Ortega also had a long career in the national team, where he made the World Cup squads of the 1978 and 1986 World Cup, respectively. Georgia has announced that Sonny Smart, who is the father of Bulldogs head coach Kirby Smart, died after complications from hip surgery. Sonny Smart fell while walking in New Orleans ahead of the Sugar Bowl between Georgia and Notre Dame. He underwent hip surgery, but complications arose that ultimately led to his death. Emilio Echeverria, the standout Mexican actor who starred as the hitman known as El Chivo, the Goat, and Alejandro G's Inartus Amores Perros, has died. He was 80. Echeverria died Saturday. The Mexican Academy of Cinematographic Arts, Cinematographic Arts and Sciences announced no other details of his death were immediately available. Richard Cohen, the husband of former Today anchor Meredith Vieira, died Christmas Eve at the age of 76. Cohen lived with multiple sclerosis for over 50 years and was a survivor of a pair of cancer diagnoses. He and Vieira were married 38 years and have 3 children. Cohen was a veteran journalist who worked for CBS News. He was also diagnosed with MS at a young age. The president of Film Independent, Josh Welch, passed away peacefully before the new year. The man changed the dynamics of filmmaking industry. He helped emerging artists, paving the way for new ones, and left a mark that will be remembered indefinitely. Peter Yarrow has died at the age of 86. The folk singer was the third of the band Peter, Paul, and Mary, and co-wrote songs like Puff the Magic Dragon. Agnes Coletti, the oldest living Olympic medal winner and Holocaust survivor, sadly passed away at the age of 103. She won 10 Olympic medals in gymnastics, to include 5 gold medals for Hungary at the 1952 Helsinki Games and the 1956 Melbourne Games. Soul singer Brenton Wood, best known for his hits The Oogum Boogum Song and Give Me a Little Sign, has died at the age of 83. Wood peacefully passed away on Friday at his home in Moreno Valley, California, surrounded and survived by family and friends. Britt Allcroft, best known for her television adaptation of Reverend Wilbert's Audrey's Railway series characters, which introduced a new audience to characters such as Thomas the Tank Engine, has passed away at the age of 81. Richard Hayes, a renowned New Testament scholar and former dean of Duke Divinity School, known for his influential books on Christian ethics and his change of mind about same-sex marriage, died on Friday, January 3rd at his home in Nashville, Tennessee, from pancreatic cancer. Hayes was 76. Wayne Osmond, the beloved musician and cherished member of the iconic Osmond family, has passed away at the age of 73, leaving behind an extraordinary legacy. From unforgettable performances to a life filled with faith, hope, and love, Wayne's journey touched countless amount of lives. Harry Chandler, a Navy medic who survived Japan's attack on Pearl Harbor, died at the age of 103. Warren Upton, the oldest survivor of Pearl Harbor attack, dies at 105. Mr. Upton died on Christmas Day at a hospital in Los Gatos, California. He had pneumonia, said his daughter, Mary Upton. At 105, he was the oldest surviving member of the Pearl Harbor attack and the last remaining crew member of the USS Utah, according to Kathleen Farley, the California State Chairman of the Sons and Daughters of Pearl Harbor Survivors. Actor John Capodice has died at the age of 83. He starred in over 150 films, including Ace Ventura, Pet Detective with notable Jim Carrey. Hakaria Wilson, an MMA fighter from New Zealand, has died at the age of 26, according to multiple outlets, including Te Amo News and the New Zealand Herald. According to Te Amo News, Wilson was in Gisborne, New Zealand at the time of his death for the Rhythm and Vines Festival. Police told the outlet that they attended to a sudden death on Wednesday, January 1st. No cause of death has been revealed. Former Greek Prime Minister Kostas Samitis, widely regarded as a modernizer in the country's political arena, died on Sunday at the age of 88. While announcing his death, the Greek government declared 4 days of mourning for Samitis. Samitis, one of the founding members of the Pan-Hellenic Socialist Movement, left an indelible mark on the country's political life. George Folsey Jr., the admired film editor and producer who collaborated with director John Landis on such films as Animal House, Blues Brothers, Coming to America, and the catastrophic Twilight Zone, the movie, has died. He was 85. Folsey died Sunday in Los Angeles of complications due to pneumonia. His son, fellow film editor Ryan Folsey, who has directed Cabin Fever, Renfield, told The Hollywood Reporter. Tomika Ituka, the world's oldest living person, has passed away at the phenomenal age of 116. Recognized by Guinness World Book Records, Ituka died in a care home in Ashia, Japan. Local officials announced on Saturday. Her passing came December 29th, concluding a long life that began on May 23rd, 1908. A fan of bananas and kalpas, a popular yogurt-flavored drink in Japan, she embraced these joys throughout her life. Gwen Van Dam, whose 7-year career as a character actress for film, television, and stage included turns in True Confessions, Halloween, Coming Home, Stir Crazy, and The Trip to Bountiful, has died. She was 96. Van Dam compiled over 140 acting credits on IMDb. She died December 19th at her home in West LA after recurrence of cancer, her son, Dirk Samili, told The Hollywood Reporter. Shigemi Fukuhara, a survivor of the 1945 Nagasaki atomic bombing, who devoted her life to advocating for peace and campaigning against nuclear weapons, has died. He was 93. Fukuhara died at a hospital in Nagasaki, southwestern Japan, January 3rd, the Yukami Catholic Church, where he prayed almost daily until his last year on Sunday. Local media reports the cause of death was due to old age. Mike Rinder, the former senior Church of Scientology executive who quit the controversial organization and became one of its most scathing critics, died after suffering from cancer, his family announced on Sunday. Former President Mugahamu Buhari has mourned the passing of Professor Nuhu Yaqub, the former vice chancellor at the University of Abuja. Professor Yaqub, who was also the vice chancellor of the Sokoto State University, died at the age of 74 on Saturday. Martin Karplus, a theoretical chemist who shared a Nobel Prize for merging traditional molecular physics and computer modeling to probe complex biochemical reactions and offer insights for advances such as more effective drug treatments, died December 28th at his home in Cambridge, Mass. He was 94. Barry Kramer was the first player from the Capital Region to be selected in the first round of the NBA's draft in 1964 after a fabulous collegiate career at NYU. The 6'4" guard forward cut his NBA career short to become a lawyer and later a judge in the state of New York. On Saturday, Kramer died at the age of 82. Drag queen the Vivienne, aka James Lee Williams, who competed and won in RuPaul's Drag Race UK Season 1, has died. They were 32. The Vivienne's publicist, Simone James, confirmed the news of their passing in an Instagram post on Sunday. Cause of death not yet reported. Joanne Pierce Misko, the nun who left the order to become one of the first female FBI agents, has died at the age of 83. Pierce Misko, along with Marine Corps veteran Susan Rowley Malone, were known in the agency as the Nun and the Marine. NBC's Joe Fryer remembers a life lived well. Paul F. Orifice died at the age of 97, passed away peacefully in his sleep on the morning of Thursday, December 26, at his home in Paradise Valley, Arizona. Paul had a lifelong passion for horses, riding as a child and investing in thoroughbred racehorses for the past 4 decades. Partnering with Dogwood Stable and later Eclipse Thoroughbred Partners, he delighted in hundreds of wins, highlighted by victories in the Preakness with Summer Squall, as well as the Belmont Stakes and Palace Malice. Hooded man Kevin Hanaway has died after a short illness. A native of West Belfast, a 77-year-old, died in the early hours of Monday. He was one of 14 Catholic men who say they were subjugated to state-sanctioned torture when they were interned in 1971. Swiss snowboarder Florian Fischer has died after a battle with bone cancer. Fischer was just 24 years old. The Beyond Metal's Instagram account paid tribute to him on the morning of January 6. Jean-Marie Le Pen, the firebrand co-founder of the French far-right party, formerly known as the National Front, has died at the age of 96. French media reported on Tuesday. The Élysée said President Emmanuel Macron sends his condolences. Louis Chidley, a French physician whose experiences in an African war zone in the late 1960s helped him to start Médecins Sans Frontières of Doctors Without Borders, an aid group that received the Nobel Peace Prize for decades of work amid conflicts and disasters, died on January 1st in Mulhouse, France. He was 86. Andrew Piper, the Canadian author behind thrillers like Lost Girls, The demonologist has died. People has confirmed he was 56. The best-selling novelist died of cancer complications on Friday, January 3rd. His final moments were spent peacefully at his home with his wife of over 20 years, Heidi, and his children, Maud and Ford, according to his official death notice. Theater actor Alok Chantaray, 64, died on Monday at around 11 p.m. He had been battling illness for quite some time. As per reports, the failure of multiple internal organs led to his demise. The actor was a close friend of late Bollywood actor and National School of Drama NS alumnus Irfan. And finally, cult folk musician and painter Ed Askew has died. He was 84 years old. News of his death was confirmed on Instagram by his collaborator Jay Pluck, who wrote that Askew died on Saturday, January 4th. No cause of death has been revealed. And that confirms the long list of unfortunate deaths. Now to our commentary section for the first one of the new year. Happy New Year to all of you for 2025. It is not just another year. It is a year like no other. The most important thing you can do, in our opinion, is throw out the past, your preconceived notions about everything you thought you knew. There's even biblical evidence to support this notion. Paul said in the New Testament in Philippians 3:13-14, but I focus on this one thing, forgetting the past and looking forward to what lies ahead. I press on to reach the end of the race and receive the heavenly prize for which God, through Christ Jesus, is calling me. Let this be your battle cry for the new season. Obviously, Paul was talking about his relationship with Christ and reaching the kingdom of heaven, but this has many applicable meanings for this new season and the reset we're coming into. We are still pushing forward, and as we see President Trump come back in optically, we believe we are going to see an maelstrom of activities, both geopolitical and financial, which will lead us across to the finish line. So just continue to stay steadfast in your quest for truth, faith, hope, and love. And that concludes this week's wrap up. As always, as news breaks, that's important, we will get it out to you as soon as possible. Thank you so much for your time and patience and listening. Take care. God bless, and goodbye for now.